to another video. This one is for Druid. I know I haven't done video in a while. It's actually simply because there haven't been enough balance changes to change my mind over builds. So most of the builds you see out there are the builds I'm using. So you know, I don't feel like I can either add to the community or like add to what I've previously done. But recently I started playing Druid a bit. So I'd like to share with you what I've been playing and how I've been playing it. So, first thing to mention, this is kind of a healing build. It's sort of hybrid, I guess, but it's mostly about doing what Druid's good at, like giving them your unique buffs and healing. So, we've gone Sword, Axe, and Staff offhand, and you can see my bear El Tanko here does exactly what it says on the tin. And then just rotate, you can see El Break Barrow. It's my other pet. Again, does exactly what he says on the tin. Clearly one of them is to tank bosses and the other one is to for break bars. And so that's the general setup of the weapons and pets. Now we have the skills here. We have a healing spring. I'll get into that when I start talking about the traits. Glyph of alignment. It doesn't show it here because I'm not in Celestial form, but when you're in Celestial form, this has like a 3.5k burst heal, which is really useful. Guard. This is a skill I use, nobody else uses. I feel that this is a very good skill, and in particular, in combination with the bear pet and whirling defense, and I'll go into that a little bit later. So then we have Frost Spirit, standard ranger, party buff, and then Glyph of Unity, which I tend to spam on myself when I'm in Celestial form because it increases your healing to your party. So for equipment, what am I running? I'm running Zerka's Trinkets, full Zerk trinkets, and then Zealot's armor and weapons with the Rune of the Monk. I feel like Zealots is the best option in terms of power versus healing power. Like you get power and precision gives you a nice sort of base damage. Obviously you don't get any ferocity, but the point of this build isn't to maximize damage. It's to heal while still doing okay damage. And that's just generically the point of the build. And the Rune of the Monk, it's all about that number 6 bonus, 10% outgoing heal effectiveness to allies. So your healing is increased, and the Sigil of Transference, and then I'll talk about food later, but so that's the gear. And onto the traits. So what have we got here? We've got Skirmishing, Nature Magic, and Druid, obviously. In Skirmishing, we've gone Trapper's Expertise. Boons and conditions caused by traps last longer. This, essentially, is to buff the hell out of Healing Spring. You shouldn't pay too much attention to the tooltip there. They're not actually... It isn't actually 10,000 heal over 8 seconds. It's a considerable heal, but that's misleading. What this will do is that you put it down at the start of the fight, where the mobs are going to walk onto you if you're stacking, for example, in fractals or something like that. Or if you just walk up to a boss, you just place it at his feet, and your party will get regen throughout the entire duration of the fight, just from that one cast. And you might think, well, you need it for self-heal. Well, you don't need it for self-heal, because when you're healing other people, you're actively healing yourself as well. So it's just to get this regen on people at the start of the fight, which is increased by Trapper's Expertise. And what this does is it boosts the recharge of Celestial Avatar super fast. So this bar will fill up really fast. That's also another reason why we take Zealot's gear, incidentally, is that when you're not healing, it's better to have more damage, because damage does also affect the Celestial Avatar bar, but just not as much as healing does. So when your heals are on cooldown and you're just doing damage, Zealots actually affects the bar more than, say, Magi's does, which is another set that a lot of healers take. But Magi's sacrifices damage completely for healing. So on to the next trait. Spotter, obviously. Party buffs, healing, that's what this build's all about. And quick draw. When swapping weapons, the next ranger weapon skill you use will recharge faster. What I find myself doing a lot is swapping to staff, using Ancestral Grace for the 2.3k burst heal, and then like 5 seconds later you can do it again because of quick draw. So that's a really useful way of getting the most out of your staff heal. And then we've got Nature Magic. We've got Search and Rescue. When you begin reviving an ally, you use Search and Rescue on them. Increase revive speed. This is a really important trait. In Fractals and in other high-level content, I don't know whether this is entirely viable in raids, but like a little tweak here and there, and it is. But you don't want to stop to res, because when you stop to res, your whole team stops getting heals. And it's important that you keep healing. So what you do is you start reviving an ally, and then you stop instantly, and your pet will take over. So it's a very important trait in my mind in challenging content. Vigorous training. Pets grant vigor to nearby allies when you swap pets. Well, I mean, that's just useful, passive. And then you've got your pets heal allies in an area when executing an F2 ability. So that's a big heal, and it's worth remembering that you can do that for a little burst healing. It's one of the reasons I've gone for the Black Bear, is because it also gives 10 seconds of weakness on the enemies on big groups of mobs in like high level fractals and stuff like that. The weakness plus the heal plus the combination of guard and you start really lowering the amount of damage that's going on your allies at the start of the fight. So that's a really helpful trait. Nice little heal. And then on to Druid. Primal Echoes. Reduce recharge of staff skills, so that reduces the recharge of this already. What I like to do is start in Sword Axe. In fact, I'll quickly explain the start of a fight now. So I'll put my Frost Spirit down. I'll then run into where the group of enemy mobs is. I will pop guard. I'll be on bear at the time. Pop guard, and I'll pop whirling defense. So why will I do this? Guard. Order your pet to guard nearby allies. Your pet takes damage on behalf of those allies. Gain might when your pet receives damage. So first of all, you're going to get a ton of might from this. Secondly, your party receives 33% less damage. And this is separate from things like protection, for example. So you get a 33% damage reduction on top of like protection, and the damage gets sent to your pet. So what does this do? Well, in defense, blocks projectiles while damaging nearby foes. But more importantly, it puts retaliation on yourself. And due to this trait here, Fortifying Bond, any boon you get is shared with your pet. So you put retaliation on yourself, it goes to your pet, and then your pet takes 33% of the damage. Obviously, it's a bear, so it can take it for 6 seconds. So what does this do? It transfers all the damage to your pet, which then procs retaliation, and you get a ton of retaliation procced on the enemy. So this combo is really strong, and they happen to be on basically the same cooldown. It's 25 seconds and 30 seconds. That's like really handy. Use these two skills together whenever you can. And then you swap to staff, immediately dazing the group of mobs that you've just just hit and reduce the damage on. So that's like, and then burst heal. So it's a very good start combo for a fight that works really well for stacking, which is a big part of Guild Wars. And then here we've got reduce the recharge of glyphs, activating glyph Panzer Seed, more healing from glyphs, That's great. And then Grace of the Land, obviously, allies you heal with Celestial Avatar abilities, increase damage. So it's very, through Healing Seed at the start of a fight, you'll get Celestial Avatar basically as soon as you swap to Staff and use Ancestral Grace, so you can go straight into Celestial Avatar and start healing people, getting this bonus damage on people. Really start to help the damage of your party while keeping them alive. Another thing to mention, what I briefly mentioned earlier, is the Electric Wyvern is the best pet for break bar destruction. The F2 skill does a lot, as well as some of the pet's basic skills also have good stuff for break bars. So this is the best pet to have when you need to get a breakdown down quick, and then you just pop your F2 skill. So obviously it's a nice heal as well. I'd also like to mention the food at this point. Whenever I'm playing this character, whenever, I'm always using delicious rice balls, because these things are quite cheap, quite easy to make. 100 healing power, 10% healing effectiveness outgoing. It's a no-brainer. Delicious rice balls all the way. And then this is also really good. 100 healing and gain frosty equal to 5% of your healing. This is what you want to pop if you're having trouble. This will again, give you a nice boost to your healing and a boost to your damage, which is really nice. And yeah, it's a little bit harder to make, but it's worth doing. So if you can, do it. I don't think you can buy this. I think you do actually have to craft it. So have a look on the wiki on how to do that. But yeah, so these are the foods you want to use, and then that's that. Here we have some footage of the Molten Boss fractal, high 90s level. I've muted the audio because my guild can come up with some crazy TeamSpeak chat like the following.
What have you done? Have you done a split or
Oh
something?
yeah, you did sprain your ass once. That's true.
I had it once.
No, Mike did as well.
That was Colin.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's true. I thought it was Mike.
Colin sprayed his ass. Sprayed his ass.
Yeah, that's.
I think I would have known if it's free.
So yeah, I'm kind of just keeping the team alive at this point. Not doing too bad. There was a nice 12k hit there. Obviously we're on a healing build, so that's it's nice to see nice damage numbers despite. But mostly, as I said, we're healing, and we're trying to get that combo of the number 5 axe skill and guard. And in a moment, you can see there's a flamer walking in the background, and he takes an absolute ton of retaliation damage. And that's the combo I'm talking about. And that happens a lot in stacking when you're in fractals, and dungeons, of course, if you want to use it in dungeons. I'm just going to speed it up just for the rest of this little bit. And moving swiftly on to the Molten Boss, the actual Molten Boss. So we're doing the same thing again, we're just healing, trying to get some damage off. Got some nice auto attack damage, despite being on a healing build. Meanwhile healing everyone. Not much more to say about this. We're just we're doing the job that we've been assigned. And actually, I want to point out this is the boss in the background. I'm actually destroying his projectiles with my number 5 skill as well. So you can see how in a lot of fractals that projectile destruction is actually really useful as well. And so in a little minute, I'm just going to speed it up again. And it might not be the fastest kill, but we're all safe. No one really threatens to go down. And that's about that. So that's about it. Thanks for watching. I've really started enjoying using Druid, using this build, and I think it's a lot of fun. And it makes healing less tiresome, and there's more of an active process. Using guard and wedding defense. It feels like you're really helping your party at the same time as healing, and then keeping the regen up and stuff like that. So it's I hope you guys enjoy it, and thanks for watching. Tell a friend.